moves like a missile and thinks like a drone. The F-47 isn't a prototype, it's a global power play. While China builds swarms, the US just leapfrogged the world with a Mach 5 plus monster that covers a mile every single second. At $300 million a unit, this tailless ghost is just the beginning of the end for traditional aviation. But here's the real mystery. While the world scrambles to catch up to the 7th gen, the true battle is being fought in the black budget shadows of 8th, 9th, and even 10th generation projects. We are talking about quantum mine fighters and orbital attack vehicles that might already be watching from the edge of space. We aren't just looking at an upgrade, we're looking at the first trillion-dollar race to command the stars. F-47, beyond the numbers. The F-47 is a total re-engineering of the American air power doctrine. To understand why, you have to look at the Pacific distance problem. The current kings of the sky, the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II, were designed for theaters like Europe where refueling tankers are always nearby. The F-22 has an internal operational radius of approximately 600 nautical miles, while the F-35A sits around 590 nautical miles. In the vastness of the Indo-Pacific, that's a liability. The F-47 is projected to shatter that ceiling with an operational radius of 1,200 plus nautical miles. That is double the reach, allowing it to penetrate deep into contested anti-access area denial zones without relying on bulky, vulnerable tankers that appear as massive targets on enemy radar. But the real magic isn't just in the fuel tanks, it's in the smart skin and the tailless profile. Traditional 5th generation jets like the F-22 use a twin-tail diamond wing configuration. While effective, those vertical stabilizers are the primary source of radar return. The F-47 moves to a tailless, cranked wing profile. By eliminating the tail entirely, the F-47 achieves superior all-aspect stealth, making it nearly invisible to the low-frequency radar arrays peer adversaries use for early warning. This stealth is reinforced by conformal integration. Instead of bolting antennas and sensors onto the frame, the F-47 utilizes smart skin technology, where the sensors are embedded directly into the composite structure of the fuselage. This doesn't just lower the radar cross-section, it reduces parasitic drag, allowing for higher cruising speeds and greater efficiency. Under the hood, this thing is a flying supercomputer. Its modular open systems architecture means it's a plug-and-play weapon. While upgrading an F-22 requires years of hardware overhauls, the F-47 can swap in new hardware or 10th generation AI algorithms like an app update. And then there is the raw power. The F-47 is powered by the next generation adaptive propulsion program. This is a variable cycle engine that adjusts its bypass ratio in real time. In one mode, it acts as a high-thrust turbojet for Mach 5 plus dashes. In another, it becomes a fuel-efficient turbofan for long-range loitering. To manage the insane heat generated at these velocities, which can melt traditional airframes, the F-47 uses its own fuel as an endothermic heat sink. Liquid fuel passes through heat exchangers to absorb thermal energy from the leading edges in avionics before it ever reaches the combustor. It's essentially using chemistry to keep the airframe cool while preheating the fuel for better ignition efficiency. For the first time in fighter aviation, the F-47 moves beyond purely kinetic combat. It is designed as a platform for directed energy weapons. Its anti-missile laser system is enabled by massive onboard power generation from variable cycle engines, allowing high-energy lasers for hard-kill defense. Incoming air-to-air missiles can be intercepted at the speed of light, forming an impenetrable defensive envelope around the jet. To keep that system alive under combat heat, the next-generation adaptive propulsion engines use a third stream of airflow dedicated to cooling and thermal management, preventing the laser hardware from overheating. When the F-47 uses kinetic weapons, it does so with speed and volume. Large internal weapon bays are optimized for hypersonic strike missiles, released at speeds exceeding Mach 5, and it is not fighting alone. The F-47 acts as a mothership for collaborative combat aircraft drone swarms. It processes over 1 million pulses per second through its MESA radar, achieving a 92% fusion fidelity, then distributes that fused targeting picture as a central node inside the JADC2 network. The $300 million F-47 didn't just rattle the Pentagon, it sent shockwaves through every rival design bureau from Moscow to Beijing. The global response and the panic. China's answer arrived with a name that sounds like something out of a legend. The Baidi, or White Emperor. Unveiled as a full-scale mock-up at the 2024 Zhuhai Air Show, the White Emperor isn't just a plane, it's an integrated space air fighter. While the US is perfecting the F-47, Beijing is talking about a Mach 5 monster capable of operating at the very edge of the Earth's atmosphere. According to leaked specs from China's Nantianmen project, the Baidi is designed to reach altitudes exceeding 100,000 feet, high enough to engage targets in low Earth orbit. Its physical design features a dark, multi-sectional canopy intended to protect the pilot from the intense radiation and thermal loads encountered at the edge of the atmosphere. Some analysts dismiss it as a psychological gambit, but the scale of China's industrial base is no bluff. China has already produced over 300 J-20 fighters, and they are currently narrowing the sensor fusion gap with the West at an alarming rate. If the BiD reaches its goals, it will be designed to carry a massive internal payload of hypersonic missiles, turning the Pacific into a no-go zone for anything without a US flag. Then there is Russia's MiG-41, also known as the PK-DP. This project is born out of raw power and the need to replace the aging MiG-31 Foxhound. The goal is a Mach 4.3 monster, capable of hunting hypersonic missiles and satellites alike. The math for the MiG-41 is brutal. Sustaining speeds above 3,000 miles per hour generates so much friction that the airframe has to be constructed from advanced titanium and composite structures to survive. Russian officials claim the MiG-41 will be armed with an anti-missile laser and will operate at near space altitudes. However, industrial reality tells a different story. Between sanctions and the struggle to mass-produce existing fifth-generation platforms, many analysts believe the MiG-41 remains a paper plane, a warning to the world that Russia hasn't given up on its high-speed interceptor legacy. But here's the real panic. The US isn't just building a better jet, they are moving the goalposts. While rivals scramble to hit 6th-gen benchmarks, the US is already drafting generations 8, 9, and 10. The Air Force is already requesting $2.75 billion for NGAD development in the 2025 budget alone, a figure projected to rise to $5.72 billion by 2029. The race beyond speed. While the world is just starting to wrap its head around 6th-gen tech, the Pentagon's secretive black budget is already funding projects that skip entire generations of physics. By the time we hit the 8th generation, the cockpit is gone. This isn't just unmanned optional, it is pure autonomy. We are talking about the Service Academy's Swarm Challenge and DARPA's Offset program taken to the extreme. In this generation, a single quarterback aircraft doesn't just lead a few drones. It commands a self-healing swarm of hundreds of microjets. These swarms use reinforcement learning to invent new tactics mid-flight, sacrificing individual units to shield the collective. The front cost here shifts from the price of a jet to the price of the algorithm. A trillion-dollar software war where the side with the faster processor wins the sky before a single shot is fired. 9th gen is where we stop fighting the air and start weaponizing it. Research into atmospheric skimming flight paths and living anemometer models suggest aircraft that don't just fly through wind, they use it. These platforms operate in the near space zone between 60,000 and 100,000 feet, utilizing quantum-enhanced AI to predict enemy movements before they even happen. By integrating quantum AI synergy, these jets solve complex battlefield optimizations in milliseconds, tasks that would take a modern supercomputer hours. We are talking about 92% fusion fidelity expanded to a global scale. In the 9th gen, the aircraft doesn't just react to the battlefield. It uses predictive analytics to ensure the enemy's missiles never even find a lock. Then there is the final frontier, Generation 10. This is the realm of DARPA's most classified X-plane concepts and orbital attack vehicles. We are moving beyond the atmosphere entirely. Imagine a space-air hybrid that could launch from a standard runway, skip off the top of the atmosphere at Mach 10+, and strike any target on Earth from orbit. This is the evolution of the SR-72 Dark Star and the Liberty Lifter concepts, combined into a single lethal platform. These are the orbital ghosts, machines that move so fast and so high that they are technically in space, yet can dive back into the atmosphere to deliver a payload with pinpoint accuracy. At this level, the cost per unit becomes irrelevant because the machine itself is a global deterrent. We are no longer looking at an airplane. We are looking at the ultimate weapon of the trillion-dollar race to the stars. And if you're ready to see what the Pentagon doesn't want you to see, you know what to do. Subscribe to Front Cost and hit the bell, because in the generation war, if you aren't looking ahead, you've already been deleted.